I call to order the regular city council meeting for this Monday, November 3rd. First item on the agenda is roll call, please.
Wesson.
Here.
Fuller.
Here.
Hayes.
Here.
Janser.
Here.
Olson.
Here.
Pittner.
Here.
Samuelson.
Here.
Would you please join me in the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3 is the mayor's report, and tonight we have a special guest, a neighbor. Chairman Mark Fox is the visionary leader of the 3 affiliated tribes, the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara Nation. Of course, there are neighbors to the southwest. Mark is a Marine, always, right?
Always once a Marine.
Once a Marine, yeah. He's had a long career of service to his people in many roles and is in his 3rd term as chairman, having been re-elected in 1922. He's working to provide a better life for the people of TAT. And I've invited him here to tell us about what is happening in his part of our neighborhood. And so please welcome Chairman Mark Fox.
Thank you very much, members of the council, Mr. Mayor, all those present, audience, here for this very important meeting. I want to just, first of all, say it's an honor and a privilege to be before you, to be able to share our government with your government and representing MHA Nation and our Tribal Business Council. I'm going to go as fast as I can. Typically, when I get rolling here, it gets a little long. So we're trying not to do that to you tonight because I know you have a lot of other business. But it is important for us to maybe do a quick PowerPoint. My staff member, Catherine, Kat, we call hers, got it organized for us. And so you'll see on the screens a quick PowerPoint. I'm going to go through as fast as I can. It's just a little bit of the history of MHA. Some of you probably already know much about it, but I want to share that with you as well too. So you know your neighbors, MHA, and a significant part of Minot area, who we are and where we come from. So again, thank you for giving me this time and opportunity to share with you this evening. So that being said, historical background. You'll notice the map of the United States, North America really. Those little red squares that you see, those represent what we used to call Aboriginal trade centers. And they were a major part of the economy for thousands and thousands of years for North America. One of the 2 largest was the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara Trade Center. And they're equal to what went out in the Walla Walla Valley out in Washington. Those are 2 of the largest ones. If we weren't the largest, we were darn close to it. And major reasons why we were a significant part of the Aboriginal Trade Center system, the economy of North America prior to Europeans coming to the continent, was because we were the first farmers. The MHA Nation domesticated crops massively. So corn, beans, squash, watermelon, sunflowers, all these different things that we grew massively. And some of the more nomadic tribes depended on us for trade. We lived along the Missouri River system, and so that was an important part of who we were. Moving forward through the years, one of the things that really hit us hard, you'll see in the second item there on that map, on the left side, 1780s and 1830s, we had virgin soil epidemics hit us. And what does that mean? It means that we had no resistance to smallpox and measles and some of the European diseases that were brought over. So having had no resistance to that, we died in great numbers. In 1780-81, in a year and a half's time, we went from about 50,000 joined together, Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara, about this population of the city of Minot. We went down to 5,000, less than 5,000 people. We lost 90% of our population in basically a year and a half. If you average it out, that's more than 80 people per day dying. Today, when we have 2 or 3 deaths and funerals during in a week's time, it's very difficult for us. So you can just try to imagine that devastation to us as well. But, you know, we were able to survive. That 10% was able to live. I represent that 10%. I'm a survivor of those that survived during that smallpox epidemic, as well as those that are now at home at Fort Berthold and live off the reservation as well. A Rickeraw War of 1823. Some of you probably seen the movie The Revenant, all right? Leonardo DiCaprio. He's riding over cliffs and staying warm inside the horse and then trying to kill him and this and that. That's a real event that occurred. Man in the Wilderness was in the 70s, was a movie. This is kind of a remake of that, but it's really true. So what ends up happening is because there was a fight with the American Fur Trading Company coming back and forth and not going through our trade system that I told you had been established for thousands of years. They were trying to come there and trade with the tribe and cut out the Rickeraw. So the Rickeraw got very upset and said, well, when you come to trade here, you got to work through our system. And it didn't work out that way, so we ended up attacking them like you see in the beginning of the movie. This is the first time that the United States government will declare war against the tribe west of the Mississippi. In 1823, they call it the Rickeraw War of 1823. 2 years later, the first treaty in our area is established, and that's the 1825 treaty that was established, and that's what we're looking at right now. We're not yet, but we're in 1825, we established the first treaty. The second treaty that we're talking about, you see up above, is the Fort Laramie Treaty of 1851. So many years later, we get hit by the smallpox again. Prior to this, we get hit by the smallpox in the 1830s that reduced us from about 4,000 people to just over 1,000 people. So the numbers that used to exist, the territory we have was getting smaller and smaller. And so this is what is happening to us over the course of about 70, 80 years. So in that treaty, which of course the members at our time, our leadership at that time, really didn't understand the maps, the actual written map. They knew territory, they could guide you over every inch of it. But as far as how maps relate to what they would say, yes, this belongs to us, it does not belong to us, the United States government basically said, this area that you see shaded in green, about 13 million acres, is the area that we recognize that belongs to the MHA people, the Mandan, Scots, and the Rickeraw people. And so in that 13 million acres, we cover 4 states, North Dakota, Montana, South Dakota, and a small bit of Wyoming. So that's our territory. But to tell you the truth, is probably twice as large as that, our actual territory, including the Minot area, and later on executive orders, Minot's included in our area, recognized area as well. Executive orders, 1870, 1880s. What happens is primarily the railroad. The railroad comes in. Frederick Billings says we gotta run railroads from east to west, from Minnesota over to Montana, and so you see these executive orders basically shrinking our 13 million acres down to the million acres that we currently sit on today. Other things that happened to us, the General Allotment Act, basically that small square that you see up there, people coming in and the United States government opening up our lands, allotting acreage to individual tribal members, and then what they determine as excess land, they begin to open that up for people and farmers and immigrants and people coming on in, and opened our reservation, our million acres, so that only today half of that is what remains in ownership. General Allotment Act, Homestead Act, all these things. 1944, one of the more really devastating. You all know the PICS loan program. They created the Garrison Dam, a series of 7 dams on the Missouri. Here's one of them. And what does that do? It floods us out, and we lose hundreds of thousands of acres by now creating what we now call today Lake Sacagawea. So it was very difficult at that time, I just mentioned. When that occurred, that ended up flooding out Alba Woods, ending up doing a number of things that we had, caused our people to move up to the higher grounds as the waters began to come pouring in. It took about 4 years before that full water to push back and create what is now Lake Sacagawea on Fort Berthold, and that's what was occurring at that time. In 1985, there was a JTAC, a Joint Tribal Advisory Committee, sponsored by United States Congress, and in that report, it basically tells what we lost, and the United States did a judgment to that effect to try to compensate us for all the losses we suffered at that time. So, again, that's what it looks like on the left before. You build the dam, Garrison Dam, that's what it looks like on the right now. Over 1 million acres, our reservation. We have approaching 17,700 enrolled members. Most of those live off the reservation, most of those tribal members. That number's off a little bit. We're more like about 6,000 on the reservation, and the other 11, nearly 12, is off the reservation in cities like Denver and Albuquerque and Minneapolis and all over the United States. We have 6 geographical political segments, or districts, or wards, you would probably call them, on Fort Berthold, 6 of those, and we have 7 council members, 1 from each district that their districts elect, both from membership on and off the reservation, who have to come back to vote. And then the chairman's elected at large, and it happens to be me today. So, economy prior to energy development, we're primarily agriculture, as I mentioned before, farming and running cattle later on in the 20th century. Government services, we do what's called public law 638 contracting, the federal government services that are brought in, same as you have in the state, any federal dollars that come in. We have the opportunity to contract that and run those services on the United States government's behalf, and that's called public law 638 contracting. And then gaming. We have Four Bears Casino since 1992. Many years now, mathematically, whatever I'm up there, there's 26 and 30-something, 35 years, 34, we're up there somewhere. Anyway, we have a new casino that's coming. We'll be done with that casino, looks like about May, down in the White Shield area, and we're calling that the Son of the Star, which is one of our hereditary chiefs that was in about the 1870s, 1880s, was a leader for our tribe. Again, economic impacts, energy development. The Bakken Shale Play, you see the Bakken Formation right in the middle and the heart of that is the Fort Berthold Indian Reservation, our 1 million acres there. One of the highest producing fields in the world. We currently produce nearly 3% of all the crude in the United States. Some people may think that's a small number, but it's really a lot. When you're talking about a small area in the United States, and we're producing 3% of all the oil that's produced in the United States right now. We have over 3,000 active wells. We've probably drilled, Kat is actually my energy liaison, but probably close to 7,000 wells that have been drilled. These are the active wells that remain today as well, most of those on trust lands. Rebuilding our economy, everything that's been happening to us, that's been the plan. How do we recreate our economy? How do we build these things? Roads, water, our infrastructure, electricity, everything we put into place as part of our rebuild as well. Some of our successes and ongoing projects, some of you may have seen these. We have new schools in Parshall, White Shield, Mandaree, and we will be completing in less than a year a new school for the first time since they flooded us, a high school in the Twin Buttes area as well. These are many of the new community centers that we've got. White Shield, Twin Buttes, Parshall, Four Bears is finishing theirs in, I think, in less than a year. And also at the same time, Newtown's got a brand new community center. So you go to these, they have gatherings for elders. We have places to work out, swimming pools. They have a number of things. Some of them have small movie theaters we never had before. All these different amenities that our community members, and I want to say this, a lot of community members, not just tribal members, but a lot of the community members, the local farmers and people that we go to school with and we live next to, all enjoy all the things that we have to offer and that we have built as well. Elbow Woods Memorial Health Campus, just amazing area over there. We've had numbers. The governor just spent about 2 weeks ago, a little less than 2 weeks ago, spent 11 hours at Fort Berthold touring everything we got. And one of the major things he was able to see is all these different things that we're building: dentist, optometry, KDU units, diabetes, a regenerative clinic, regenerative medicine, all these different things. And in that same regards, we do need to build a higher level nursing home type facility, get that returned. And then we were flooded out from our hospital when the Garrison Dam came. So we're only one of 2 tribes that do not have their own hospital. And that quite literally became very evident that we have to change that, build our medical campus, and eventually build a hospital is part of our goal, because during the pandemic, for example, when all the people were getting sick and were infected, and we had people that were the same, we had no place to take care of them. And quite literally, we were making calls to Minot and other areas, and they were full at certain given times. And so we always felt we don't want to be in that position again, so we'll enhance our wellness campus as well. Okay, new facilities again. Most of those are health, outreach, different things. You see some of the pictures. Some of them very beautiful buildings that we're getting put. All the infrastructure that we committed to building when we did tax agreements with the state, and we worked things out on how to share our economy with the state. MHA recovery services, the drugs, drug addiction that's going on. We're taking the lead in the state. We have a Good Road Recovery Center down in Bismarck. At first, we thought there was going to be great resistance to it, but in fact, they've given us an award for beautification award and things that we brought. We put things before them, and we usually get a lot of support in Bismarck area for what we built here with recovery as well. But we're not just stopping with that recovery center. We've got new cottages that we just built, Healing Hearts lodges, sober living programs. We have residential areas with peer groups that live in those that help support each other. Right now, we're very proud of what we do when it comes to recovery. Some of the men behind me may be experienced in that or have involvement with that. But as most of you know, 85 to 90% of people, any people in the United States that go to treatment, relapse. 85 to 90%. But at Fort Berthold, because of how hard we work and the investment we've made, more than half of the people that go to our treatment stay sober, and they go through our program and things of that nature. So my point I bring to the state legislature and everybody else, pay now or pay later. Because if we were to wait for 10 years and wait for 10, 15 years and then say we're going to do something about the problem, it would be 30 to 50 times more expensive then. And so we've decided we're going to pay now and try to reverse the addiction that is quite literally killing our people. MHA tourism, all the different things we've got going on. So proud from the riverboat. We're trying to make a destination resort for the Four Bears area. Twin Buttes New Fairgrounds, the Earth Lodges, we're restructuring, Healing Horse Ranch, we have all the rodeos, the North Dakota Rodeo Association there, the PRCAs come to our casino, everybody thinks, all these different things very important for us. You see in one of the pictures there, very proudly so, we're the sponsors at the Minot State, or the North Dakota State Fair at Minot, North Dakota. But we're the sponsor of that event. This was the first year it got rained out, and we were able to do that. Very proud of that. But our feelings on tourism is not just to proudly develop something and display it. It's an economic venture for us. Because when people read and say, I want to come fishing in that lake, I want to go see the culture, I want to go see the Badlands, I want to see bighorn sheep down at our new park, down in the Badlands, I want to see these things. Well, they come, they bring their checks and their checkbooks, their cash and their credit cards, and they spend, and that's how an economy has changed. Outside dollars is the only way to change an economy. Affiliate Tribes National Park, I just mentioned it. We have some really great plans for that already, doing trails, being able to come down to Little Missouri, where it actually starts at Devil's Tower, north of Devil's Tower, coming all the way down that through Medora, end up through us, and then come into the big Missouri. So we've got a lot of plans for doing that as well. White Shield, again, all these different things. If you haven't been to White Shield for the last 5, 6, 7 years, you go there, you will not recognize that as well. Partial, the schools and the community building, that's just about done. Mervyn promises me he's going to have it, Councilman Baccanow. He'll have it done in about 2 months. I hope he does. We're almost there. And of course, the native green grove, which we're going to talk about in the second Newtown. You see all these different things. We're revitalizing Main Street on Newtown. Old dilapidated buildings, knocking them down, building new businesses on top of them, again, to spur the economy as well. Mandaree's got the same thing, each and every one of them. Forebears, you see all the things going there, the water parks, the hotels, everything else that we're building right now. Twin Buttes, again, a smallest area of our lands, but they've got so many wonderful, beautiful things there as well. Future investment in energy development and related infrastructure, that's really key to us. Our honorable mayor was able to attend one of the tours that we put on there. We call it Native Green Grow. We are building basically right now it's almost 2 hectare greenhouse that we're put together there. We're going to be able to capture gas out in the field and bring it there, put it through a giant generator called a CHP, and grow food all year long. So we capture that gas that's otherwise wasted, and we're putting that together to grow food. And you use it for heat, lights, and carbon dioxide, the things in addition to the growing substance that helps plants grow and get the crops growing. We will, in this first phase, and this is just phase 1, we will do close to 2 million pounds of food annually in that as well. You see some of the things that we've got listed there as well in that greenhouse. We are having a grand opening on November 26th, the day before Thanksgiving. I welcome and invite the council. Please come down, take a look at it. If you haven't been down there yet, see what it's all about. We expect some federal officials to be there, major investors, people in energy, oil companies, everybody that we're invited to come there. The governor himself is committed to come back with his staff as well, and so we're looking very much forward to that. Local and regional markets, really important. In Minot, the marketplace that you've got here, we are hoping that you'll walk into your local grocery stores and you go to Walmart or wherever it might be on the different areas that you can shop. You'll look down, you see locally grown NG2, right? Strawberries, cucumbers, lettuce, etc. That's our goal, and that's where we're moving forward on this. Energy Vision 3 Paths Forward. This is really critical to you sitting here. We are now pushing hard on some major projects. There are 3 energy projects that we are currently pushing hard on. One of the projects is probably, I would number 3, that we're not pushing as fast yet, but we want to enhance our crude storage capacity. I won't get into that much, but basically we can only store about 300,000 barrels today. We'll move that to storing somewhere between 3 to 5 million barrels, and when we're able to do that, you take the fluctuations of the market like we've seen this year from May until just lately. We've had the price of barrel oil go from $54 to nearly $74. That's a $20 swing. So we are planning to invest into dealing with that and taking advantage of the volatility of the oil market to buy it cheap and sell it later on when the price goes back up. The second one that we have is we're going to, and been working for 8 years. I had the honor of working with former Governor Burgum, who's now Secretary of Interior, working with him to try to establish LNGs to foreign markets. LNGs is liquid natural gas. So we're going to capture it, pipe it all the way to, for example, to the West Coast. And you got foreign markets, Japan, Korea, Philippines, all these different areas that want to buy LNGs. and take it back to their country so they can generate powers and create fuels and do things with that as well. So that's a major thing that we've been working on for about 8-9 years, and we're starting to see some daylight to get it more likely into Canada, across and over, and then sell to foreign markets as well. And then the third one is really critical here. The third one is taking that wasted gas, not only for growing food, but we're going to take that wasted gas and we're going to generate power with it. And with that power generation, we're going to be able to establish a data center, similar to what you see being proposed throughout the state. The big advantage we've got is we've got the land, 23 million acre feet lake, and the coldest weather on record in the state of North Dakota, my hometown of Parshall, North Dakota, minus 61 back in 1937, holds the record. Why is that important? When you generate this kind of power and you operate these data centers at that level, it gets a lot of energy and heat. You have to cool them. So we just will be able to open up the vents and stuff during at least half the year and cool things off pretty fast. So we're ideal for development. This is important because of where we're heading and its importance to you in Minot. We're coming up to the end now, bear with me. You see all these different things that we're going to, economic opportunities, impediments, different things that we have in place as well too. I tell you about these things very proudly. Back in 1999 and 2000, the State Economic Development and Finance Office, ED&F, did a study. And in that study, they were able to show and present to the governor's office at that time and the legislature the effects of that study, which said that all the tribes in North Dakota, because you have tribes in North Dakota, have about at that time, about a $2.2 billion impact to the economy of the state of North Dakota. Positive impact, because we're there with the services provided, the things we buy, everything else that goes along with it, 2.2. That was 25 years ago. So we hired the same guy to come and do a report just for Fort Berthold. And he did that report about 11 years ago, not last year. But MHA Nation, in his study, same one that did it for the state, same person, says his estimate is we're just under $3 billion to the state of North Dakota by ourselves, by what we do down there at Fort Berthold. That's an important part of you, because I for one, I've got my 2 staff members here. When we shop, and I'm in the Parshall, Newtown area, where do we do most of our shopping? 60% or more. Any person will tell you that. Driving to mine. When I was young, and that was a long time ago, but when I was young, 6, 7 years old, and my parents would go, we're going to go to Minot, and you want to come along, and that was like every 2 months. That was a big treat. You got to go to McDonald's, maybe the zoo or something, right? Come all the way up to Minot. I pass people almost every day. They drive. Lavelle on the left drives every day to work from Minot. If you wake up in the morning and you start driving from Parshall or Newtown at 6:30 and start coming on Highway 23, you will pass, I guarantee you, at the lights that early in the morning on no less than 100, 120 cars. People coming from here, because we have a shortage of housing and places to live, driving down there every single day, transporting goods, doing everything. So we're a huge part of the economy, and I wanted to bring up about that study and things of that nature as well, too. That's me up there a long time ago. I was a lot skinnier, maybe not quite 2 years ago. I put that up there for a little bit of humor. You don't buy it, you don't buy it. But the bottom line is, when you sit in my job, you got to be tougher than heck, right? You got to be resilient. Because there's always somebody cutting you down. There's always saying you can't do this and you can't do that. Well, I don't believe in the can'ts, I just believe in the cans. And so that's what I do, but you got to be tough. You got to take a licking and keep on ticking. And that's why we put that picture up there. Some of you may not know this, I guess probably almost all of you, including my staff. I was born in Minot, Trinity Hospital. So was my brother, all right? And I was born a Minot boy. I lived up on 9th Avenue, up in that corner. You go back behind our house, which my dad built himself, the house, and he built a stone wall, and there's a stone area around the tree. If you go there now, our neighbors are the Johnsons and the Bells and the Littlemans and Hansons. I can go in Brenzel, Red Brenzel. That's where my dad built the house. My dad worked at Trinity Hospital, but he also went to the Bible college. And so what he did is he built the Church of God Indian Mission in Newtown with his own hands again, dug the basement, built the church himself, and he moved his family to Parshall to be closer to follow his dream to be a minister down there. So in 1968, they pulled me out of Roosevelt grade school, and my older two brothers and sister, and we moved to Parshall. So I bring this up because, my connections to Minot go back to the day I was born and everything else of that nature. So that being said, I know, this is about the fastest and the quickest I've ever presented before. Be honest with you, to try to give as much to you so you could understand, but I'm open to any questions you may have.
Council members, any questions for Chairman Fox? If not, I'm gonna come down and join you for just a second.
Oh, okay. And we have gifts for each and every one of our elected members of the council as well, too. These ladies will come up and give them to you. It's one of our things to treat when people come to visit us, we'd like to give gifts. That's part of our traditions. But one of the things that we do, too, if you ever come and visit us, we have an ongoing policy that when you visit us, when you leave, you must be at least 8 pounds heavier. So we feed you and we feed you and we feed you.
Here, I can pick it up for him. Thank you.
After I went on the tour
Oh, yes.
and visited my friend Richard Bresnahan at St. John's University, who is an artist. And this book is about an installation that he did called the Kura, which means in Japanese that means storehouse. And when he knew that your project involved seeds and the preservation of the native plants and so forth, he said, I have a book I want you to give to Chairman Fox.
Oh, wow.
And so it's autographed and inscribed in there, and so all the best to you. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. You have a blanket for yourself. You'll notice in our culture, I'll speak up loud so the recorder hears me because we have the same process. At MHA and some of the other tribes do what we do, but many do not. This blanket represents something to us in our culture. We do it during what we call our giveaway ceremonies. A long time ago, we didn't have blankets, we didn't use cotton, of course, and things of that nature. So we used to use buffalo robes. And so we would use buffalo robes, and they would have a same type of ceremony, what they call a giveaway ceremony, or what they say a wrapping ceremony. And what that buffalo robe did a long time ago was we put it around somebody to try to protect them. Not just the elements. You're from Minot, I'm from Parshall. We know what cold's all about, right? Not just minus 50 and minus 60, but to protect your heart, your soul from the things that can impact you as well, the coldness of the world. So we had that ceremony. So many years later, of course, we can't do that with the buffalo. They're gone. We've got a herd of about 600 now with tributes and herds. So we're getting close to 1,000 we'll have soon back. But we don't do that anymore. So in place of that, we have a ceremony which we just did a gift giving, is when we just wrapped your mare with the same way we would have done long ago and want to share that. Thank you.
on with the rest of our agenda. Thank you again, Chairman Fox, for a very interesting presentation. Let's move on to section 4, which is the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. City manager's report is in the packet. Unless there's any questions, I'd like to just take a moment to recognize our Employee Recognition Committee. Last Thursday, we held our Employee of the Quarter ceremony right here. It was close to standing room only, not all the way. We had a lot of folks. We had 20 great employees on our city staff nominated by their peers and their supervisors representing our pride values. Jesse Hopper from our Employee Recognition Committee and the city engineers team leads those volunteers that put that together. But ultimately, we had 5 quote-unquote winners. They're all winners, but that were identified by the team as most emulating the pride values. So congratulations to Brittany Shefstay from Finance, Sergeant Casey Sandusky of our Police Department, Judy Norby from the airport, Michaela McWilliams from the City Manager's Office, our City Clerk, and Sheila Marigos from our City Assessor's Office. So outstanding employees all and a great employee recognition ceremony.
Thank you very much. Any questions for the city manager? Seeing none, we'll move on. City Attorney, your report, please.
Thank you, mayors, members of the council. I also have a written report, and I can stand for any questions at this time.
Any questions for the city attorney? All right, seeing none, we will move on to item 5, which is the report of the Planning Commission. In that, we have a public hearing. And public hearing is case number 2025-34 regarding the summer cleanup of the text amendments in the code, what the wishes of the council. So we'll have a public hearing. So is there anyone wishing to speak to this item? Anyone who wishes to speak to this item? This is really kind of an internal housekeeping item of cleaning up some language and so forth. Seeing no one come forward, what the wishes of the council?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing and approve as recommended by the city staff.
It's been moved. Seconded by Alderman Samuelson. Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote.
The motion passed unanimously.
All right, that brings us to section 6, which is consent items. These are items that would be typically passed on consent in one motion unless somebody wishes to have something pulled and discussed individually. I have been asked to pull items 6.11 and 6.12 for individual discussion. Is there anyone at the dais or in the audience who would like additional items pulled? Seeing no one, is there a motion? Alderman Wilson.
I'll move the remaining items.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the remaining items. Let us go ahead and vote.
The motion passed unanimously.
That brings us to item 6.11, which is to approve the request for qualifications for architect and engineering services to remodel the police department, the police station. What are your wishes?
I move approval.
Moved by Alderman Samuelson, is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Alderman Wesson.
Thank you.
It may be a question, Tom, Lance, Chief, whoever would like to answer it. I guess this has been a long process. We're continuing through it now. Can you just give me a quick overview of what we're expecting from this portion of the process? We're going to have engineering and architecture services come in. I believe we're having them come in and pick up where we currently are. We're not starting over. We're using what we've already learned, the work that the team did within the department, and we're picking up from there. And then just kind of the follow-on to that is, dollars-wise of the $5 million we're looking at for next year, how much are we going to spend on engineering and architecture?
Mr. Mayor and Alderman Blesson, when I put this RFQ together for the police department, I wrote it with the intention that we'd have several check-in points as we went through the process. So very similar to what we did for this City Hall project. So before we move on to the next phase, the consultant would come back and present to City Council and make sure that the options and the different things that they develop are approved before we go on to the next step. So I think in that regard, there's a lot of budget control and scope control that the City Council will have, and that's been the intention the entire time. We don't have an end target yet for dollars because we don't know what those options will be. So by working this process together, we'll be able to understand what the City Council wants to see, what's important in the police department, and then how do we afford all those things. So that's step number one. We'll follow the same process that we use in our department when we select consultants. This gets publicly advertised. We give them about a month to respond. There's a committee that ranks the written proposals. We shortlist those to a manageable number. It's typically about 3, sometimes 4, if 3 and 4 are close together. The committee will recommend a firm to the City Council. You can approve that firm or choose somebody else, and then a scope and fees negotiated. So the original scope and fee for the first phase will be what we would call preliminary engineering. So taking the data that we already have on file, sitting down with the stakeholders and identifying kind of what we want to see. They would start to scope out the different areas of the building. There'd be some preliminary cost estimates that are developed. Then that comes back to you for approval, and then we move on to the next step.
Any further questions for Lance? Okay, thank you very much.
Welcome.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. Please indicate your...
The motion passed unanimously.
Next is item 6.12. This is a request for a budget amendment for pound services. What are your wishes?
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. I think Alderman Fuller, I think you pulled this. Go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to, and I don't know if Chief or who wants to talk about this, the 132,000 we're moving. I just had some questions because I guess I didn't see it was laid out in here. How many months is that for? Do we have a breakdown? Again, I realize it's just a portion of the contract. I just wanted to try and figure out if we're going to have enough to get through the end of the year or what was going on with it.
Alderman Full, members of the council. So where that $132,000 comes from is the overage of what was budgeted from the 2025 PD budget, which was $45,000. So adding the $132,000 onto that is the estimated total cost of that contract for 2025.
Any other questions for PD? Okay. Any further discussion by the council? All right. We have a motion. We have a second. Let's proceed to the vote.
The motion passed unanimously.
That completes the consent items, and we move on to the action items. Item 7.1 is the waiver of storm sewer maintenance fees for properties. This, I believe, is an item that had, as the result of some deliberations and discussion that we had a bit earlier at previous meetings. What are your wishes?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the recommendation. Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote.
The motion passed unanimously.
That takes us to 7.2. 7.2 is a recommendation to pass the updated 2025 criminal and traffic ordinance updates on first reading. What are your wishes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. Moved and seconded to approve the recommendation. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Samuelson.
Thank you. I would like to make an amendment to this in the section for driving without liability insurance. They're dropping that from 300 to 150. I would like to keep that at 300. And the section for the second offense back to 600.
What section was that in?
It's section 20-6A, 29.1.
So I'll second for the discussion, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Any discussion? Alderman Samuelson, do you want to explain your
Okay.
rationale?
So this last year I was affected by this, by being run into someone that didn't have insurance. Didn't affect me personally because it was my company vehicle, but it did affect them. I know of another individual that was without a vehicle for several months because couldn't afford to fix their car, just had liability insurance, and then goes to pick up a vehicle that she finally was able to and got help from others to buy one, and then had to get insurance for that, and the insurance was going to be higher because she was in an accident. Not her fault. And just talking to people, this happens a lot more than we think. And I just think there has to be a deterrent for that. This used to be a Class B felony, but the legislature changed that. And now it is just a traffic offense. So that is my reasoning, is to keep it there.
Further discussion. Alderman Fuller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, yeah, when I started looking at this, I had, some consternation about some of it as well. I reached out and spoke with State Senator Castaneda, who's here tonight. I reached out and spoke with Judge Beal from the municipal court, trying to understand why we would take fines or fees, which in my mind are set to make people not do that behavior, and lower them backwards. In most of the discussions that I had with folks, they said, well, it's with the intent to hope to see them be able to afford the insurance. So if you take a $300 and a $600 fine for your two offenses, that's $900, and most people, by the time they pay that, can't afford to buy insurance. So they say, okay, well, if we lower them back to $150 and $300, then it's only half that, and hopefully by the end of the year they could afford or get insurance. I get the intent behind this, but to me, lowering fines and lowering fees for people that are neglecting the rules, whether out of necessity or just because they choose to, I don't necessarily think that that's a good idea, and so I will be voting for Scott's amendment.
Further discussion. Alderman Blessam.
Thank you. For the city attorney, I remember some of this discussion at the legislature this last session revolved around the idea that many municipalities were doubling the fines under state law. And I apologize for not doing the legwork myself. Do you have a sense for that across the board of how we're doing that right now? Is what is laid out in this update to the ordinance Is it reflecting that? The way that I took it was state law was laid out as a certain dollar amount, and that was sort of meant to be the minimum. And then the city sort of walked in and said, well, heck, they give us the ability to double it. We might as well, we'll pull the revenue, whatever that amounts to. Is that our general approach that we take, is to double all those?
So Alderman Blessum and Mayor, members of the council, so the city's authority in this particular arena now with the direction from the legislature is that the council has the authority to double these moving violations, but not the speeding violations. And so that's a change that happened this last legislative session. Is prior to then, we were given the authority to double even the speeding violations, which the council opted to do. And so now we're adjusting the speed limitations back, but there are still sections like the one that's in the amendment before you now that has the capacity to be doubled. So I'm not sure what the pulse is statewide on what other cities are doing. I think it's kind of a mismatch across the board at present, if I remember right from my conversations with other city attorneys on the matter. But the authority that's before the council right now is that if it's not a speeding violation, you do still have the authority to double it. So the speeding violations that are in section 4 would have to remain. But the rest of the ordinance that's before you, so sections, let's see here, 2 and 3, you could still double those.
And so, Mr. Mayor, if I can continue.
Certainly.
So I think Scott's on the right track here with this one in particular. So just to clarify to the city attorney, a big part of this is pulling back based on the new state law. It's getting that aligned again because we can no longer double the speeding violations, correct? But the rest are within our ability to make those adjustments, and this reflects that already.
Yes, Alderman Blessum, that's correct.
Okay.
So, Mayor, members of council, I believe the lens that the police department looked at this ordinance change in collaboration with the police department was to return the language as close to state law as possible. My understanding is that makes it easier when enforcing for law enforcement, you're just referencing one section of code in regarding to moving and traffic violations, as opposed to trying to figure out, okay, have we doubled this, have we not?
Alderman Fuller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one quick thing I guess I just want to get on the record. So when we were talking about this, and I was talking with Senator Castaneda, the fact that we are lowering the speeding violation ticket in school zones is abhorrent to me. We're raising them in construction zones to $150, but because the state says we can't double the speeding tickets in school zones anymore, we're dropping it from $80 to $40. In my mind, there's no reason for anybody to not speed for $40. And so I would hope the legislature going forward would maybe pick that one up and just take a look at it again and give us a little bit more leeway, at least in school zones.
Mr. Mayor, if I could,
Alderman Blessum.
just to maybe add to that, Rob, I remember some of the discussion at the legislative side, and I actually was in agreement here. I think, to me, it didn't make any sense to say, hey, here's state law, here's what we think it ought to be. We're a representative republic, right? State law is sort of the main barometer we've got here. But then we also give you the ability to double it all. So I think part of the sentiment was, no, let's get rid of the doubling concept. Let's flatten it all out and make it make sense. This feels like it just didn't make it through that correctly. We've got to go back now and make some of those fixes. So the hope would be that the legislature would do that, and we can certainly pat a few of them on the back and tell them what we'd like to see.
And just real quick, as I told Jose, I lived in Colorado for 16 years, and I used to drive back and forth to North Dakota 2 to 3 times a year. I did not speed going through Wyoming because I got a 11-mile over ticket one year when I was out there, and it cost me $189. I sped every time I came into North Dakota trying to get home because the fines weren't that bad. And so I think you're right. Hopefully the legislature, this one might have slipped through, and they can go back and kind of correct it.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, so we have an amendment before us. City Clerk? did you-
Yeah, I'll just repeat it just to make sure we're all on the same page. It's to amend to keep the ticket fee at $300 for first offense and $600 for the second offense for driving without insurance in section 20-6A.
Okay, everybody understand? All right, seeing no further discussion, let's go ahead and vote.
The motion passed unanimously.
All right, then we're back to the original motion as amended. Any further discussion? Alderman Samuelson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to go back a little bit when we were talking about kind of how all this happened. In the legislative session, there was House Bill 1298. And what that was is it started out as one paragraph to raise the speed limit on the interstate 5 miles an hour to go up to 80. And if you look through that bill when it got through there, there's 14 pages of changes. And one of them that was glaring to me as they were talking about is speeding in a school zone. We had the fine at $80. Now we can no longer double it, so it's to 40. But the legislature made speeding in a work zone $150. And I agree with that. The advantage they have there is they have cones and big signs and flashing lights. There's not much in a school zone. We also have kids. Ones that are in construction zones are adults. They know kind of what's going on. They're paying attention. A lot of these kids are not paying attention. I recall back, it's been 20 years ago now, doing service work in Minot, driving down the street, and I see a kid on a bicycle. And I paid attention to it. He pulled right out in front of me at the corner. Didn't look, nothing. I came close to hitting him. If I wasn't paying attention, I probably would have hit him. I think maybe just the look in his eyes, he probably learned something that day. I hope so. I really hope that the legislature looks at this and kind of goes through that. Did you realize that a fine for not registering your snowmobile is higher than speeding in a school zone? And there's several others I can go through. I think the legislators missed this one, and I noticed that there's a couple here, so maybe we can look at getting that changed.
Okay. Any further discussion? All right, then it's time to vote.
The motion passed unanimously.
Our next item is 7.3, which is a budget amendment for a transmission replacement for the transit bus. What are your wishes?
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve as recommended by staff. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's go ahead and vote on this item.
The motion passed unanimously.
That brings us to item 8. Item 8 is personal appearances. The rules of engagement for personal appearances are that you are asked to fill out a comment card, and we need your name and address and what your topic is. And so if anybody still wishes to fill one of those out, they're up here at the table, or I think on the dais as well, or on the podium as well. I have one at this point, which is Billy Gunderson, and Billy?
Billy, I did get your email. I'm working with Jen right now because she's actually the one that would put it up for you, so. Is it green?
It is.
Okay,
there.
there you go.
Okay.
Mayor Janser, council members. What you're not changing, you're choosing. Michelle Obama, attorney, author, and former First Lady of the United States of America, said, "I wish girls could fail as bad as men do and be okay. Because let me tell you, watching men fail up is frustrating. It's frustrating to see a lot of men blow it and win. It's paralyzing to continue to see ADA requirements not being met. I have repeatedly addressed the need for a third-party contractor to oversee planning and inspections on ADA requirements. As the city engineer, Lance Mayer, said, if you go back to the first photo of the sidewalk, this was completed in 2 months before the August 4th City Council meeting, where Lance Mayer said the city saved $600,000 on projects and would not be putting that money toward curb cuts and sidewalks, but rather overlays requiring little planning. This sidewalk does not continue to a sidewalk that completes the rest of the block." Next slide, please. The doors on the Whiskey 9 building do not meet ADA requirements for occupancy. It was dismissed by, The doors at the Ebenezer building, they do not meet ADA requirements for occupancy. It was dismissed by Justin Roniak in July with contractors, and again in August with the EAPC architect. I addressed it at the Renaissance Zone meeting in August with Brian Billingsley as a building that used the Downtown Facade Improvement Program for funding, specifically for doors with ADA push buttons. He said they had not gotten a permit for occupancy. They have one now, and the doors still do not meet ADA requirements. 3 of the 4 doors at the Whiskey 9 building do not meet ADA requirements for occupancy. This building also used the Renaissance Zone, also used the Downtown Facade Improvement Program. I addressed this also at the Renaissance Zone meeting. Sidewalks were closed by the Souris River Joint Board. When I addressed ADA requirements at the meeting September 4th, 2025, stakes were then posted on the path north of the river, east and west of 7th Street. They've been open since. They were not completed. The wall constructed by Park Construction was just torn down. There was a path, a pedestrian path that was to have been provided to the pickleball courts. There were egregious cracks. It was a concern of mine, the walls that were to be constructed and that they were going to fail. One was just torn down by Park Construction. Another wall that is seen from the east side of Roosevelt Park, you can see the error in the pattern that was there. A wall that will either be left wrong or should be also torn down. The city is consistently not enforcing ADA requirements. It is so easy to take for granted all of the progress that we have made, but the fact is right now, today, so many rights are under threat from all sides. These issues are not settled. The freedoms we take for granted are not guaranteed in stone. They did not come down as gifts from heaven. Rights were secured through long, hard battles waged by women and men that made their voices heard. We are in a civil war. The city is not failing forward. It is just failing on ADA requirements. When when are men going to be required to meet the same standards that women are? Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to address the council this evening? Seeing no one, we'll move on. Next is miscellaneous and discussion items. Item 9.1 is City of Minot and Ward County Joint Committee discussion. Alderman Fuller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So recently, Alderman Blessam and I had lunch with Commissioners Feldall and Merritt, and they wanted to sit down and talk about some of the things that the city and the county jointly use or have services with and everything like that. So they had suggested that we put a committee together to talk about things like the 2-mile boundary, to talk about some of the shared services that the city and the county have, so hopefully we can find some efficiencies for the citizens and the taxpayers. So I guess, I just wanted to bring it to the council, put it forward and say, hey, the county is asking us if we want to do this. I think it's a great idea right now. There's certain things that we can certainly discuss within the 2-mile. They've talked about possibly opening up space for us for our municipal court, where we're having some space issues there. So I would like to make a motion that we go ahead and accept their offer and form a joint committee with the county to have these discussions and then bring back whatever ideas or things we come up with to both the commission and the council and see what we feel about them.
I'll second, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, moved and seconded. Alderman Blessam.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So to the city attorney, what forms do we have before us that we can use to put this together? Would we typically do this with a resolution? I think the last time, I was looking back at when the library discussions went on, I believe there was a resolution that was passed that formed the committee. So that would seem to be one option. What are the options in your mind for how both we and the county would bring this together?
Mayor, Alderman Blessam, and members of the council. So there is a liaison committee that I believe just met this past week, and it's a liaison committee of the county. The Park District is also involved on the liaison committee, as well as First District Health Unit. They meet quarterly, I believe. And the school board is also present on that committee. So that could be one forum where some of these discussions come up. If the council wants it to be exclusive between the county and the city, my recommendation would be to maybe approach the county commission at their next commission meeting and confirm this is the path the entire commission wants to go forward with. I don't believe I've seen this on a commission meeting yet, so that might be the next step, would be to have a representative approach the commission or have one of the commissioners that you spoke with at your meeting bring that up at the commission level, confirm that this is the path that they want to go forward with, and then we can add an item to the council agenda to provide representatives to serve on that joint committee.
So, Mr. Mayor, if I could continue. So I guess, for tonight, I guess what we would be able to do is, as a council, essentially, this motion is signaling our intent. Is that a good way to look at it? To say our intent is to do this. If they were to do the same, then we can come together and work out how that works out?
Mayor Janser, Alderman Blessam, yes. I would say that this is the first step in extending that offer to see if the county is also interested in pursuing that role. There are, depending upon what efficiencies this group intends to look at, there may be other committees that need to be formed to accomplish those goals. But I mean, we can go further down that path as we proceed down this road.
Okay. Yeah, I think it makes sense to sort of see what evolves and where it should go. But I can tell you from experience on the liaison committee that there are probably more items that are city county than some of the other subdivisions, and so it does kind of make a certain amount of sense. Alderman Olson, I see you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. So I think communication is always important, and even a few years ago, we had discussed the possibility of the full council and the full commission meeting on a, maybe quarterly basis, and that just didn't ever come to fruition. I am in favor of us moving forward with this, but I would like a little more specificity on what the topics would be, and depending on what the topics are, certainly involving those departments that would be included. To me, this looks like a fact-finding mission in order to probably clarify budgets for 2027. And so while I'm in favor of it, I think that it's still lacking a little bit of detail.
Further discussion? Okay, seeing none, we have a motion and a second. Let's go ahead and vote.
Alderman Fuller, is the motion to approve a joint joint committee of the City of Minot council members and Ward County commissioners?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure. The motion passed unanimously.
Very good. I see no other items on the agenda. We are at item number 10. Oh, sorry.
Mayor
City
Gensler,
Attorney.
members of the committee. So in terms of this last item that we just approved, so we've confirmed that the council is interested in approaching the county. Are there representatives from either the council, or would you like to designate somebody from staff to reach out to county representatives, perhaps at their next meeting, and reserve some agenda space to discuss this with the commission?
Alderman Fuller, do you have some insight into how
Well,
they're going to proceed?
I'll talk to John and Ron. They approached us, and so I'll reach out to them and say, hey, we're game for this. We've approved it on our half. We'd like to see you guys do the same thing at the next commission meeting, and then we can form the committee thereafter and lay out all the details. Is that fair?
That sounds perfect.
Okay.
Okay. Seeing nothing further, we're on item number 10. Move to adjourn. Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed, nay. We are adjourned.